Hello, Algebra 2, Miss Fiorello here, coming pre-recorded from my hall duty. So we're going to take the notes on 5.5, function operations. So follow along, write down everything I write. Feel free to pause the video, rewatch. Here we go. So I'm given 4 different functions in this box, f of x, g, p, z. And here it says evaluate the functions. And I believe this is something we did in the fall a little bit. So this notation should be a little familiar. So this says f of -2. That's how you read it. It's not f times -2, it's f of -2. And it just means to substitute -2 into the function f anywhere there's an x. Like this says do -3 times the input minus 1, and -2 is the input. So then I just multiply. I get +6 minus 1, and I get 5. So I can connect the beginning to the end, and f of -2 is equal to 5. They're equivalent. The input's -2, the output is 5. So g of -2, I'm putting it into the function g, which says to take the absolute value of the input minus 3 plus 1. These are a little tricky because you have to know to substitute what's inside the absolute value first before you take the absolute value. So I do -2 minus 3 and get -5, then take the absolute value, get +5. So the bars go away, and my final answer is 6. So there's no variables here. I'm not solving for x or anything. I'm just evaluating the function at the given input. So p of -2, I'm going to look at p. There's multiple x's. And anywhere there's an x, we're going to put a -2. And I'm just going to put anywhere I'm going to substitute like a little parenthesis. So like it's x squared minus x plus 1 over x. So it's the same structure. Only now, instead of x, we're going to plug in -2. We're going to substitute that in. And these parentheses are important because we're squaring a negative. So it's -2 times -2. That should be +4. Minus the -2, that's +2, plus 1, all over -2. So that's going to be equal to -7/2. And the last one, z of -2. This one's a cool one because the function z is exponential. So I have 3 raised to the -2. So now the input is the exponent. And we learn how to simplify that. I make it 1/3 to the 2nd power, which I know is 1/9. Done. Okay, so the top ones are all simple, just evaluate. Take that number, plug it into the function based on the letter. But now you might have to do some more operations. So in the bottom half, number 1 says do p of 3 and then subtract q of 2. And here's the steps. Step 1 says do the function evaluation. So for me to do p of 3 minus q of 2, I need to know what p of 3 is. I need to know what q of 2 is. So the function p says to do 2 times the input. So p of 3 is the number 6. Q of 2, I need to plug 2 into x squared minus 16. So it's 2 squared minus 16. 4 minus 16 is -12. Okay, so that was step 1, do the function evaluation. Now step 2 says take the results and substitute to do the operation. So if I'm going to do p of 3 minus q of 2, I'm doing something minus something. So whatever p of 3 is, I'm going to put it in this box. Whatever q of 2 is, I'm going to put it in this box. P of 3 is the number 6. So instead of writing p of 3, I know it's equal to 6. I can just write the number 6. Q of 2 is equal to -12. So I'm just going to put a -12. But this problem said to subtract those two numbers. And 6 minus a negative 12 is 6 plus 12, which is the number 18. So 18 is really your final answer. That's the problem. Okay, let's look at number 2. Number 2 says to do negative 2 times z of 81 plus q of negative 5. So there's two functions in there. This z of 81 and this q of negative 5. So step 1 is to just figure out what those two things are. So the function z says to take the square root of the input. So we're going to square root 81 and get 9. Okay, so z of 81 is 9. So anywhere there's a z of 81, I can think of it now as the number 9. This is just the number 9 instead of z of 81. And now let's do q of negative 5, which says to do the input squared minus 16. That's positive 25 minus 16. Oh, that's also 9. So anywhere there's a q of negative 5, that's the same thing as the number 9. So really what I'm doing for step 2, it's negative 2 times z of 81, which we learned is the number 9. I could have either put a dot or I put parentheses, plus q of negative 5, which is 9. And now be very careful with order of operations. Make sure you multiply before you add. So this is negative 18 plus 9, and my final answer is negative 9. So negative 2, you don't have to write this last step, but in the end, negative 2 times z of 81 plus q of negative 5 equals negative 9. That's my final answer. Okay, so then there's some problems for you to try that are posted. They're going to use these functions, f, g, h, and k. F, G, H, and K. And these are the problems you're going to do. This is going to be posted on Classroom as its own thing. So go find that. So like figure out what h of 38 is, figure out what f of negative 12 is, and then add them together. You're going to figure out what g of negative 1 is. You're going to figure out what f of 1 is. You're going to take this one, multiply it by 2. Make sure you figure out what f of 1 is first before you multiply it by 2. Okay? These three numbers are just getting multiplied, like it's a number times 2 times a number. And then you figure out what this is, you figure out what this is, multiply them together.